Hi everybody, it's Balkan922. This is going to be my review. I just saw it. Fate Zero episode 11. But before I go into that, I'm gonna get to my videos, do my response soon to Super Comic Guru 9000 about the 12 days thing. But that's later. Alright, now let's get into this review. This was episode Fate Zero. It was actually a very subdued episode to a degree. What happened was in the beginning, there was no intro, there was no opening to this episode. I found that very strange. Basically, we have Saber and Eerie, you know, Seinfeld, girl with white hair, Eerie. They're in the castle, Saber and her, and somebody breaks through the barrier. And it's Ryder. He shows up and he's basically telling her he wants to have a drink with her. And I'm like, it's kind of weird, but that's what he's down saying he wants to have a drink. Majority of this episode is really a lot of talking. That's my thing. It's a lot of talking. And basically, you have Ryder, Saber, and then eventually Archer comes into play, Gilgamesh. And they're all talking, and they're having like a drink, and then, at one point in the conversation, he's talking about basically the Grail and the fact that, why do we have to fight, and so on and so forth. We should just, instead of fighting, we should just see who really here is the real king. And that's when Archer shows up, and he says, I'm not drinking that crap. He doesn't want to drink his wine. So he brings out his own wine. And they drink that, and they start drinking and drinking. And during this conversation, Ryder says what he wants to do with the Grail. What he wants from the Grail. And surprisingly enough, what he wants is he wants to be human again in this world. Saber is taking offense to that, and so on and so forth. And she says her wish is to change, which is the wish she wanted in Fate Stay Night. And it's funny. Archer starts laughing, and he goes into this huge, heated argument, Ryder, to Saber, saying that, so you want to change the past. That is wrong. You shouldn't do that. And he's basically saying how, that is not what a king, that's not how a king acts. That is not what you're supposed to do. And he's basically telling her that Saber is acting like a little girl. And that's not what he's supposed to do, because she's saying, you're trampling on the people that follow you. And he's like, at one point he says, you saved them, but you didn't lead them. You didn't show them what a true king is supposed to be. While this is going on, the assassins show up. There's like a bunch of them. And they're about to attack them. And then what happens is Ryder offers them a drink to their banquet, he calls it. And what happens is they spill wine on his shirt, and then he decides to fight them. And he's like, and before he fights him, he asks Saber, should a king fight alone? And Saber says, yes, he should fight alone. And then he says, that's the wrong answer. And basically shows them, he brings them all. He brings this mental image into the point. It's sort of similar to what Shiro can do, but it's on a whole different level. And he creates the exact place where he was when his army was charging during a war. And he's like, and then he basically unveils to Saber and everybody there, Gilgamesh, Saber, his master, Writer's Master, and Eerie, his noble phantasm, which is his army, his endless army. And he basically sends his endless army and himself to attack the assassins, and he just tears them to shreds. Then, when it was all said and done, it's all over. They go back to the regular plane the way it was. Before he leaves, he looks at Saber and he tells him, "I do not recognize you as a king anymore, Saber." And she's like, "What?" And then he leaves, and then Archer basically saying, don't listen to him. Keep what you have. Keep that dream that you have. But basically, what Writer's basically saying is, it is a curse of what you're doing. You're trying to accomplish. It's a curse in your position. And Archer, he's already fallen in love with Saber, and then she's talking to Eerie, and she realizes that it was the whole round table that felt that way about her, of how she was leading, and she just realized it at that point. And that's how the episode pretty much ends. It's kind of weird. This episode wasn't as good as last week's. Last week's was stellar. Totally fucking stellar. This one was... Sorry, picking my nose. This one was very, like I said before, subdued. Very subdued. Aside from the assassins thing, it was very subdued. So, not much to really go on. But it was a conversation between what seems to be the three kings. King of Knights, the King of all Kings, Gilgamesh, and the King of Conquerors, which was, I think he calls his name Ivan. And that, by the way, his armies, that was his noble phantasm. So that's pretty fucking cool. The whole army is his noble phantasm. That's just amazing. But this was okay episode. Not great, not as good as last week's, but still not too bad. But moving along from it, you can basically tell, even in this one, which is not a surprise, of how Saber is trying to wish for something that, there's nothing to wish for in that regards. Hairs in my nose. And she's trying to wish for this thing to undo the past, but it's not going to bring her anything. She's realizing after she spoke to Ryder that it's true. It's like, you're not a king. The reality's hitting her in her face. And she was thinking about, I think, Lancelot, one of the knights of her round table, when she was talking to Eerie. So that was how the episode really ended. This was out of 5. I give this a 3.5. It wasn't as good as last week's. 3.5. 3.5. I hope that doesn't mean that Guilty Crowd's gonna have a bad episode, but this was okay. 3.5. 3.5 out of 5. Not too bad. Alright, that's it. That's all I have to say about that. Bankai Night 22, Fate Zero, episode 11. Was very good. That was good. It was good. It wasn't, not enough action, though. Just enough to, So, yeah. Alright, so, I'll see you guys later, and, crossing my fingers on the 12 days of Fairy Tail and Guild Gundam thing that I'm going to be doing. Alright? See you guys later.